What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's Jesse Spec YouTube video. Today we're again on the Lotus, and guess what? You can see the wheels are missing. Let's install some awesome new brakes on this 111R Lotus Elise powered by a 2ZZ. Join me, let's dive right into it. So on today's program we're going to be removing the drilled rotors that you can see here that are worn down. So let's remove the drilled rotors from the stock, as well in the back as well. You can see worn drilled rotors, and let's replace this by some slotted Dixcel brakes to the rotors here. What's pretty funny with Lotuses is the front and rear rotors have the same reference, which is quite hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And for the front and rear, we're going to be choosing Dixcel's Z Type brake pads. That's what I've been using for years on all my cars, so that's really awesome. And you can see here they even offer you the high temperature grease for it, and here you see the brake pads that are in here. Some Japanese goodness. Golden brake pads. Anyway, little detail, but yeah. So these are the rear ones, and the front ones are in here. They're a pretty standard Brembo size. So anyway, let's get started and get this stuff installed. Okay, so let's start with the front. So here you see here we're on the front. There's still the centering ring on here. Maybe a little quick pro tip that I can give you. You see these rotors are held in with a screw to avoid them to come out. And it's an Allen key to go in there, but in 99 times out of 100, this screw ends up breaking, as you can probably see yourself here. So what I usually do is, let me show you like that. This could probably help you out as well. I usually take a hammer and hit this out like this, and as you can see, that's what I did, and the screw came out no problem. Okay, so let's already remove that one to begin with. Then the next step is to remove the caliper here. Let's take a quick look how it's fixed in the back here. There we go, got the second one out with the pliers like this. Pretty useful. So let's try to retrieve these axles. There's a spring here, so make sure to move the spring. Here we have one axle out. I like to put a piece of cardboard below to avoid to make the floor really dirty. Here you have the spring, has an arrow, so make sure to put it facing upwards like this. Then we have the second axle here. I must say everything is nice and greased up, so pretty easy to remove. So let's remove these brake pads. Here you see one that is most likely the stock brake pad, never changed, I suppose. The car only has 3,000 kilometers, so yeah, that's probably the stock pads, to be honest. Okie dokie. I do not like that kind of Allen kit. That really looks like an excellent way how to okay, lucky. This one seems to have come out. Try and see if this one also is going to be a gentleman or not. Okay, I guess we're lucky today. That's good. So, there goes the caliper. So make sure to put it in a place where you do not damage the cables, and then you can remove the disc here. And there we go. So this one was pretty knackered. So let's put a new one on, shall we? So really important, always give your hubs a nice clean. That goes without saying for all cars, huh? So make sure you have a clean hub, and then you can install the brand new disc. What I like to do is also put some grease on it, just to make sure everything's nice and easy to remove next time. So probably Lotus did that as well, because as you can see, the color's already golden a little bit. So like this, okay? And just for safety, let's put some grease in some of our holes, shall we? This isn't the car that will drive in winter or in the snow or anything, but anyway. So here we have our Dixcel brand new rotor. Important is, as you can see, there is a rotation side, so the little guides here for the air should be in this direction, not in the opposite direction, okay? So we're gonna install this like this, and the easiest way to see how to install it is looking for your hole that is going to go here. So we put this on like this, and here we go. So don't worry, I'll be replacing this broken bolt that I removed last time, but just that will help me to keep the wheel nice and centered, the rotor nice and centered until I change it. Okay, this is anyway just for practicality reasons that they have these kind of screws. So like this will keep your rotor nice and tight. Okay, and then actually with these cars, all you need to do is put back the brake caliper and tighten everything here. I've just done that. And what I've also done is I've pushed back the pistons in here. It may seem a little bit dodgy, but actually you can very easily do this like this. Just be careful not to break anything. And if you look inside here, my pistons are all the way back, ready to get new pads in. So let's do that now. So we're going to be using the Z Type brake pads with this setup. Always compare the sizes of your stock pads. Same with the rotors, by the way. Always compare, make sure everything is identical. And we'll be installing these now. These break from up to 850 degrees and start at 0 degrees. So that's pretty good. Basically, we're just going to have to slide them in here after greasing everything up, and then we put everything back together and we're good to go. Also, an important point to note is I actually cleaned in here before reinstalling the caliper, so we can actually make sure the pads slide nicely on it. So now we're going to apply the grease. I like using the one that Dixcel gave us, so we're going to use that and just install one pad at a time. So where I like to put grease is basically wherever the brake pad actually touches. So here we have, they have actually black grease, which is pretty interesting color. I've never seen that before. Okay, and in the axles as well we can also put a little bit. Usually we can even actually put on the rear side of the pads, honestly. I might not do it for the simple reason is that I might actually directly put it onto the pistons themselves. Like that, it avoids me putting grease everywhere else. So let's put that. Just make sure don't put any on the rotor, right? That's a key point. Okay. The Dixcel brake pads actually come with a anti-noise mat on it, so that's pretty good. And all you need to do is just slide them in here. Now that everything's lubed up, you put it in like this, and we can do the same thing. What you can also do is to prevent noise, for example, is take some of the surface, make a 45 degree angle grind off here in order to make them less loud. But honestly, in most cases, I don't even think that's necessary because they don't really squeal. So if you have squealing brake pads, try removing like 45 degrees off here. But just keep in mind that if you do that, you will reduce the friction surface by basically taking off like 5 mil on each side, which will actually reduce the surface of friction. So since this is a more sporty kind of car, even if it should make a little bit of noise, if it's not too obnoxious, I'm just going to leave it like that because I actually want the maximum performance. Okay, so let's put here, and again in the axle holes, make sure basically everywhere where you feel there should be some sliding action going on, so that I don't think I did on this side yet, so I'm going to do that as well. Okay, now the pad is ready to go in. Here we go. Okay, simple as that. Then you can take the axles back, make them a bit clean, and slide them in as well in the opposite order that you did before. I'm just going to take my things here and put them back in. Okay, here we have one. Then we have the metal one here. Just push in here. Then we have our other one. Push that one in as well. Give a bit of pressure. Since it's all lubricated, it's all going in very easily. Then you put your final little clamp here, and then that's it basically. Should I put this back on already? Yeah. So here we go. So here you have, this is how you replace brake pads on a Lotus Elise. I'm gonna clean up this because it's pretty damn dirty. But this is how you change basically the brake pads and the rotor on a Lotus Elise in front. So let's go over to the back now. So now we're on the back. The principle is pretty much the same. So the rotor is the same. I also actually managed to unblock this screw before with the Allen key, so I didn't need to hit it out. And now you can see the rear pads aren't exactly the same. However, the rotors are the same. So let's take all of this apart and do the same thing as we did on the front. Replace the pads and the rotors. Just need to see how it's made here. So here, yeah, here there is actually a screw to be removed. So let's do that. Okay. There's a 17 mil screw here in the back. That's definitely holding the caliper in place. Yep, everything seems to be moving now. Okay, so the trick that I've found until now is, this is in here, okay? And there's a spring here. So you take a plier like this and you wiggle the bastard out. It comes out like this, okay? Then we can remove the spring here. Let's keep that all in an easy to remember order. And now we should have the pads that are coming out. Yep, like this. One pad. And the rotor is out. I done it on the front as well, but always give a little bit of cleaning before you put new grease on it. Always good. And then you can remove the brake pad, the other one. And we're gonna have to screw those back in. Interesting how this is made, huh? Okay. So you see how that's done basically. So let's give this a little clean as well. Here as well. Whew, lots of dust. Okay. So here you see what these pads look like. Like this. Just gonna see, for some reasons these ones came with some springs, whereas the stock ones didn't. Those are clearly the right pads. However, I don't know why there's springs on these ones. So in theory this will come in like this. And then, yeah. But before we install this, we actually have to push the piston back here. So let's see how complicated that is, if we can do it, if we need to go get the special tool or not. I'm being a bit lazy, so let's see if we can just do it like this. And it actually seems to work. So let's screw it back in like that. You can always do it with specific tools and everything, but honestly, like, for most of you guys who are probably at home doing DIY, you probably don't have these tools, so just using a plier like this, where you go into both holes and turn it in like this, will actually allow you to do the same job. Just make sure to be careful not to damage any of the seals or stuff like that. But as you can see, I fully am pushing the piston back in, putting it back flat like this. And that should be enough. So now we can put some grease. As I said, I like putting grease only on the piston side rather than on the here. Make sure to get all the areas where the brakes will actually slide on. The pads will slide on here as well. Okay. So let's assemble all of that. Put some on here as well. First pad in. Okay. Yep. That's hilarious. How in the world did they manage to use the same rotors front and rear? Yep, that is identical. So then let's install these babies. And again, use this as a reference point. No need to tighten those too much. And now, could use a bit of grease on the little axle area as well. And put some here, so let's do that here too. Voila. Then, it's a bit funny their system, to be honest, but it seems to work. So, I'm not going to complain too much about that. Oh, now I see what I did wrong. The spring has to go like this. Okay, and here the pads are holding in place, so let's just quickly brush this guy off. Already greased them all up, and this you put it through here. Don't forget the spring in the same order you removed it, so like this. Then all you need to do is hammer this one back in a little bit. Voila. new pads in. Pretty good. And put back the main screw in the back here. Hang on, I just see I made a mistake here. Oh, shoot. Like that, you can see live how to remove this axle. Forgot to take the spring correctly. If you don't do that, it's pointless. Voila. There we go. So I'll finish tightening the one in the back. So, brand new rotor, Dixcel Z Type pads, 0 to 850 degrees, and the slots are going in the direction opposite of rotation, but the fins are in this direction. So all you need to do now is do the same thing on the other side, and you're good to go. Okay, we're back in the office. I hope this video was interesting for you and useful to teach you how to change your discs and pads on a Lotus Elise. And as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. I filmed only one side, so of course you have to do the same thing on the other side of the car, the front and the rear. And really important, that's one last thing you have to do, is press on the brake pedal a couple of times, just so everything hydraulically moves into place and that the pads are ready to sort of slow the car down if you have to suddenly push on the brakes when exiting your garage. So that's really important. I will be doing a video on reviewing how this brake setup feels in a street setting, but also in race settings. And there will also be a video that you probably realized. The dog's running by again. Hey Spike, where are you going, man? Making a lot of noise, huh? And there will be also a video on how to install coilovers on the Lotus Elise. I have BC Racing coilovers that you probably saw in the video. I'll be showing you how to install those as well. It's pretty straightforward on these cars. And I'll be also reviewing those on how they feel on street and on race usage. So make sure to subscribe if you like this kind of content and that you don't miss any further episodes. And for all you MR2 fans, there's a lot of videos coming up soon. I just have to put a bit priority as well on my racing, so that's why I'm using the Lotus at the moment. But don't worry, as soon as I get the national license, I'll be using the MR2 for racing, and I won't be needing to use the Lotus for that anymore. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, comment if you have questions, and feel free also to check the link in the description to those products, because I am really convinced that these are awesome Japanese products. Even though it's a European car, you should definitely give them a try. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.